Welcome to Zero Pages Given, the book club for people who'd rather listen than flip. Here, we don't just skim the book, we dive headfirst into the words, the worlds, and the weirdness hiding between the chapters. So if you're too tired to read but still want the hot takes, plot twists, and deep dives, you're in the right place. Let's press play on today's book. Okay, let's start with this quote. It's, wow. I am writing because they told me to never start a sentence with because.
Right. From Ocean Vuong's On Earth. We're briefly gorgeous.
Exactly. But I wasn't trying to make a sentence. I was trying to break free. I mean, that line just hits you, doesn't it?
It really does. It immediately signals that this isn't just about, grammar or style.
Yeah, it's about language as a way out, liberation,
Yeah.
understanding.
Absolutely. And that's really the core of our deep dive today. We're stepping into this incredibly intimate world Vuong creates.
This letter from a son, little dog, to his mother, who can't read it.
Yeah. And through that letter, we're looking at how this family history, marked by war, migration, this really complex love, how it all gets filtered into memory and into art.
Our mission, then, is to see how he uses language, how he tries to bridge these huge unspoken gaps between generations.
And how he confronts this really difficult past to try and make sense of himself, I guess,
Yeah.
and the world around him.
It's going to be quite a journey. Heartbreaking, surprising, but beautiful, too, I think, the way we try to tell our truths. So let's unpack that central idea first. Writing to his mother, knowing she'll never read it. He says, I am writing you from inside a body that used to be yours. I am writing as a son. And this need to tell her everything you'll never know. What does that tell us right off the bat, writing to this unseen reader?
Well, I think it immediately shows how deeply personal writing is for him, but also how it reaches for something universal.
Right.
It's not just about getting a message across. It's about transformation.
Yeah.
He even says, if we are lucky, the end of the sentence is where we might begin.
Wow. Yeah.
So writing itself is the starting point. And his path to becoming a writer, going to college, reading all these obscure texts by dead people,
Yeah.
that wasn't the path his family, his ancestors could have even pictured. They were focused on survival, day to day.
So it's like he's finding a new identity, forging something different from the past.
Exactly. But interestingly, it's still completely tied to that past.
Yeah.
He's writing about it, to it, even if she can't read it.
It makes you think, doesn't it, about our own lives. What parts do we feel we need to write down or just articulate, even if the people involved won't ever hear or understand it?
Yeah, like the act of saying it or writing it is part of how we understand it ourselves.
Okay, let's talk about his mother, Mom. She's such a central figure and full of these stark contradictions.
Definitely.
On one hand, she's so protective, taking him on roller coasters, making him drink American milk to be strong, painting his bike.
Acts of love, clear acts of care.
But then there's the other side, the violence. He doesn't shy away from it. The time you threw the box of Legos at my head.
The blood on the floor.
Or the fists in the parking lot, lock him in the basement. I mean, how does he reconcile these two versions of his mother?
It's really challenging. And I think what Vuong shows us is how survival itself, especially when shaped by extreme trauma like war, can almost weaponize love.
Weaponize love? How do you mean?
Well, her violence isn't presented as a lack of love. It's more like a distorted, inherited way of loving. Or protecting, maybe.
Okay.
And Little Dog himself really grapples with this. He uses the word monster, but then he reclaims it. He says, to be a monster is to be a hybrid signal, a lighthouse, both shelter and warning at once.
Shelter and warning, wow.
Yeah, and he links it to the Latin word monstrum, a divine messenger. So he's pushing back against simple labels, good, evil, mother,
That's not
mox.
simple. It's rooted in something deeper.
Exactly. It suggests her actions are maybe tragic attempts at care born from her own terrible experiences.
Which leads us to the war, right? The root of so much. She was just 5 when she saw her schoolhouse collapse. An American napalm raid.
Just 5 years old, and her education just stops right there.
And Little Dog has this incredible insight. Our mother tongue, then, is no mother at all, but an orphan. Our Vietnamese, a time capsule, a mark of where your education ended, ashed. He says it is speaking entirely in war. It's devastating. It shows how trauma isn't just an event in the past. It embeds itself in your identity, your culture, even the very language you speak.
So her struggles, her ways of coping, her violence, even, it's all connected back to that 5-year-old girl watching her school burn down.
It really forces you to look beyond the surface, to see the echoes of trauma through generations.
It makes you think about the people in your own life, doesn't it? The hidden battles they might be fighting, the things that shaped them in ways you maybe don't fully see. Let's go back another generation then to Grandmother Lan, another incredibly resilient figure.
Yes, definitely.
And she has this fascinating tradition, naming the weakest kids despicable things, like little dog himself.
Right, which sounds awful on the surface.
But the reason to love something then is to name it after something so worthless it might be left untouched and alive.
It's a protective measure. A name thin as air can also be a shield.
It's such a poignant idea. Love disguised as dismissal almost, to keep something safe. And it makes more sense when you understand her life, her own desperate journey, running from an arranged marriage.
Working as a sex worker for GIs to survive, and she's completely defiant about it. I did what any mother would do. Who can judge me?
Exactly. And she also dealt with schizophrenia, which he notes was worse now since the war. Her life was about doing whatever it took to survive.
So these naming traditions, they weren't just random superstitions. They grew out of that lived experience where being unseen, being worthless, meant safety.
Precisely. It's a direct reflection of a life lived constantly under threat.
Lan was also a storyteller, wasn't she? Passing down legends like Lady Trya, the woman warrior.
Yes, another form of resilience, preserving culture, strength through stories.
But then there's this twist. When she gets her own cancer diagnosis, she refuses to believe it. She treats it as denial, fabrication storytelling.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? Storytelling is her strength, her connection to the past, but it also becomes her way of avoiding the inescapable present, staying one step ahead of her life, as he puts it.
So how do we cope with things we can't change? Her way was to keep telling a different story.
It's tragic, but also deeply human. That need to control the narrative, even facing death.
Which leads to that incredibly moving scene at the end of her life. She asks for rice from Gokong, her home.
And her daughter, May Little Dog's mother, doesn't correct her. She doesn't say, "We're not there, Mom."
No, she gives her rice and says it was just harvested last week. She creates that comfort for her.
It's not really a lie, is it? It's empathy. It's preserving her mother's dignity in that final moment, using imagination as a final act of love.
It really makes you think about how we care for people at their most vulnerable. Sometimes the kindest thing is to enter their story, even if it's fictional. #tag language barriers, belonging, and the American dream.
Okay, this theme of language, or the lack of it, comes up again powerfully with the challenges of immigrating. Belonging.
Yes, the struggle with English is a constant thread.
He describes that awful incident at Sears, his mother's English garbled, gone, and the clerk asks if Little Dog is yours or adopted. Ugh, just brutal. And his conclusion: one does not pass in America, it seems, without English.
It shows how quickly your identity, your connection to your own child even, can be questioned or erased just because you can't articulate it in the dominant language.
And it's not just about being understood, it's about dignity. That oxtail incident.
Oh, the Seatown butcher scene, yeah.
She can't ask for oxtail in English, so she has to resort to mooing, making gestures.
And people laugh. He describes feeling like they were drowning in air. Their own words felt wrong everywhere.
It's such a visceral depiction of shame and isolation. When language fails, you become less than human almost, an object of ridicule.
But then, amidst all that struggle, there's this other side. Communities finding their own ways to communicate resilience.
Right, like the Hartford greeting. What's good?
Used by people he calls economic losers in this city. That sounds pretty bleak. Hollowed out, boarded buildings.
But the phrase isn't just, "how are you?" It's described as a deliberate move right away to joy.
Yeah, pushing past the hardship to find the exceptional, actively looking for that precious spark of good in each other.
It's a kind of linguistic survival tactic, creating hope where it seems unlikely.
It's a beautiful contrast to the ways language can be used to deny humanity, like that historical example he found.
Oh, the 1884 El Paso newspaper article? That's chilling.
Where a Chinese man's murder isn't punished because Texas law at the time only recognized white, black, or Mexican people as legally human.
Just staggering. And the narrator's point.
Yeah.
Sometimes you are erased before you are given the choice of stating who you are.
Exactly. It shows these deep systemic barriers to belonging. It's not just about learning English, it's about whether this system even acknowledges your existence.
It really highlights those invisible walls, doesn't it? And how communities have to build their own languages, their own ways of seeing each other just to survive.
The book also delves into some really deep personal truths. Family secrets, first love, things that reshape Little Dog's whole understanding.
Absolutely. We meet Grandpa Paul first.
Right. The grandfather by action, but as we learn, not by blood.
And Paul have his own heavy history. Vietnam veteran Cam Rambe, the Tet Offensive.
And his love for the trumpet was his escape from a violent childhood. His own father.
Yeah. Doors torn clean off by a father who raged. And then the cancer linked to Agent Orange. There's so much pain layered there already.
And then comes the revelation from his mother. Paul isn't his biological grandfather.
Just lays it out there. The real one was just another American, John Faceless, Nameless, Less. Except for you.
Wow. How does Little Dog react to that?
He says he felt that cord was cut. It's this fundamental piece of his story, his origin just severed or revealed as something completely different.
It shows how silence, what's not said, can shape you just as much as what is. That absence was part of his identity without him even knowing it.
Definitely. And that search for connection, for self, leads him to Trevor.
His first love, the farm boy who would change what I knew of Summer.
Their relationship unfolds in the tobacco fields. It's intense, vulnerable.
Yeah, he describes feeling more naked than I was with my clothes off. I was inside out.
But it's also tied up with drug use. Passing a joint with crushed oxy. It's a raw look at how intimacy and addiction can get tangled, especially when you're trying to escape pain or find connection.
And then the story takes such a tragic turn. Trevor's death.
Overdose. Heroin laced with fentanyl. It connects Little Dog's personal grief to the huge, devastating opioid crisis.
He feels broken in two. It's not just a past love lost. It's this brutal collision with a contemporary tragedy.
And this is where that Hawaiian word comes in, kipuka.
Right, the island of land spared by lava flow, a small place of survival after destruction.
He wants his family to be their own kipuka, their own visible aftermath, a place to heal.
But healing is complicated. Even the word sorry becomes loaded.
Yeah, for the migrant workers, lo siento is almost practical, a passport to remain.
But for him, his own sorry feels fraudulent. It's become part of his name almost, tied to these deep losses and truths. It's hard to say honestly.
These revelations, these losses, they completely redefine family, survival, everything for him. Hashtags tag art, memory, and the enduring human story.
So how does he find a way forward? It seems like art and memory become crucial tools for healing.
Yes, absolutely. Think about that memory of his grandmother's folk remedy for bruises.
The warm, hard-boiled egg rolled over the skin to absorb the pain.
Years later, Little Dog repeats the action with a cold egg on his own cheek. And he says, thank you to her memory.
It's not just nostalgia, is it? It's like actively engaging with that inherited knowledge, finding comfort in that ritual.
Exactly. And then there's that incredibly powerful moment with his mother in the trees.
Oh, yeah. The bare winter trees.
And she insists he see birds. So many colors, bluebirds, red birds, magenta birds, glittered birds.
Until he does see them. He says, I remember forgetting the blood. I remember never looking down.
It's about the power of imagination, isn't it? The power of choosing to see beauty, to create color, even when a reality is bleak. It's an active survival strategy she teaches him.
Coloring a gray world. And that connects to the kitchen table metaphor.
That table keeps reappearing.
It's been a site of violence, but also meals, family. It holds everything. And he calls it a shard embedded in the brain.
But then he says how some will call it shrapnel, and some will call it art.
It's about perspective, how you choose to frame that inheritance. Painful fragments or building blocks for something new.
It's the ultimate act of redefining your past, naming it yourself.
And that leads to the final stunning image, cupping ash.
From the past, from destruction.
And writing live on the women's foreheads, and there's enough for everyone.
It's pure transformation, turning the remnants of pain into an affirmation of life, into art, a refusal to be extinguished.
It's a powerful aha moment about art's potential, not just to reflect life, but to actively shape it, to heal. So it really prompts you to ask yourself, how do you choose to see color when things look bleak? What are the tables, the core memories or structures in your own life? And how do you name them? Shrapnel or art? Hashtag tag outro.
Well, we've journeyed deep into ocean Vuong's On Earth. We're briefly gorgeous today. It's an incredible piece of work.
Truly extraordinary.
We've seen how this writer navigates such a complex legacy trauma, displacement, love, and finds his own voice, partly by giving voice to the people who made him.
We've seen names as shields, language as both a barrier and a tool, and this fierce insistence on living, even with overwhelming loss.
The narrator captures that feeling so well. He says, the truth is we don't have to die if we don't feel like it. Then adds, just kidding.
Right, and those other lines too. The truth is one nation, under drugs, under drones, or the truth is my recklessness is body width. It shows how fragmented and contradictory truth can feel.
But this deep dive really reminds us that our stories, even the broken ones, the painful ones, they're our inheritance and maybe the most valuable one we have. Something not just to carry, but to actively work with, to reshape.
So let's leave you with this final thought from Vuong. Maybe in the next life, we'll meet each other for the first time, believing in everything but the harm we're capable of.
Maybe we'll be the opposite of buffaloes. We'll grow wings and spill over the cliff as a generation of monarchs heading home. Green apple.
Wow. So the question for you is, what stories are you holding on to? And what might happen if you gave voice to them in whatever way feels right? How might that help you? Come home. That's a wrap on today's dive. If this breakdown saved you from actually picking up the book, you're welcome. If it made you want to listen for yourself, even better. Either way, don't forget to hit subscribe, drop your favorite line in the comments, and join the club where we give, well, 0 pages. See you in the next deep dive.